Hi, and welcome to the show where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. My name is Kevin Poe, founder and editor of Kevin MD. Today on the show, we have Andrea Paul. She's a physician entrepreneur, and she wrote the Kevin MD article, How the Google Algorithm Update Helps Doctor-Written Content Rank Higher. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
So we'll get into your article in a little bit, but first off, can you share your story and your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. I have sort of a unique story. So I actually left clinical medicine temporarily at first during residency to pursue a business idea and ended up spending the last almost decade building businesses, helping others build businesses. And Board Vitals was the first kind of bigger business that was quite successful. And then I started Health Media Experts, another business just dedicated to helping other healthcare businesses grow. And little other hat I wear sometimes is I'm a partner in a healthcare VC fund. So that's been pretty interesting too.
Fantastic. And I always ask this question to physician entrepreneurs. Has your background in medicine helped or hurt you as you pursued your business ventures?
In the beginning, it hurt only in that I felt I wasn't part of the kind of business circle and I didn't understand. And I felt like it was, I guess, not imposter syndrome, but almost like at a disadvantage that I hadn't had formal business training. And then soon realized that with medical school residency, we learn to have so much stamina. We can work harder than anyone else. And so in the end, I realized it was actually quite an advantage. And it's just kind of getting past that. You can learn all of whatever is taught in business school, in a few months of just, kind of self-teaching. But what we learned just through medical school and the energy and kind of stamina that it takes, that can't really be learned. So I think, in the end, I think it is an advantage.
Now, I talked to a lot of clinicians who are looking to leave clinical medicine and pursue business ventures like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What's your number one tip that you could share with these clinicians who may be thinking about ventures outside of clinical medicine?
So I actually think it's great, whatever, if you have something to pursue that you're passionate about, that you're interested in outside of medicine, and it might be something you monetize, or it might not be. It might be something that you do giving back, or something you do for your family, or just for yourself. But I think it's important to have something outside of medicine, and then kind of see, okay, well, now that I have something else to focus on that I'm passionate about, maybe you still also love your job. And if that's not the case, then maybe time to kind of consider, other career options, other types of jobs, or maybe even starting, something of your own.
So let's pivot to your Kevin MD article, How the Google Algorithm Update Helps Doctor-Written Content Rank Higher. Now, for those who haven't read your article, can you walk my audience through it and share the story of why you decided to write it?
Basically, all the businesses that I've built or helped to grow really have relied heavily on content in all different formats. A lot of it is text content, but also, video, social media content. And so, over the last decade or so of just putting a lot of content out there, got frustrated that a lot of the healthcare related content, like if you were to do a search on treatment of anything or anything healthcare related, most of the first page was kind of dominated by non-experts, just random kind of bigger businesses. And so, it wasn't always the best content or the stuff that was written by trusted experts that was coming up first. And I was really happy this May, especially, and in the last couple of Google algorithm updates, to see that they're actually recognizing the need for expertise, for, good quality content written by experts. And they have made significant changes such that, that content is actually going to be preferred now and ranked higher.
If you're a busy doctor, you see patients all the time, why is it important for a physician to have some type of online presence or some type of platform where they can publish content?
So really, no matter what you do, I think in medicine, whether you're, whatever type of specialty you are, really that same thing, that there are other people putting content out there that are not physicians, that are not trained, that you don't know what kind of sources they're using, and nor do they know where to find the best sources of information. So, it's kind of our responsibility, I feel like, to put the right information out there. And then there's a lot of things you can do with that. So if you have, your own blog, or you want to submit to like Kevin MD or other outlets where you can put the accurate actual expert information out there. It gives you a creative outlet that helps others get accurate information. And in the end, it's something that you can actually build something around.
So when it comes to content that you publish on your website, Google has a mysterious algorithm that's constantly changing. What are some of the things that Google looks at to help your content rank higher?
Yeah, there are, they say 200 plus factors that Google looks at. Some are more important, obviously, than others. In healthcare content specifically, they look for expertise. So, is it written by, who's the author, first of all? Second is what references you use. So, using higher level quality references like .edu, references.gov, things that are, from primary journals. So they recognize that, okay, this is someone who actually knows where to get the best information from. So that's important as well, who you're linking to. And then lastly is getting links to your content. So they recognize that if respected outlets or, other websites that have sort of the same niche or same focus are linking to your content, that's a sign to them that it's quality content and should be ranked higher too.
So when it comes to sharing and validating your expertise on a piece of content, how can we do that? Because anyone can write and say they're a doctor. Like, what are some specific ways that trusted physicians can verify their expertise on a given piece of content?
So, in terms of Google, what Google looks for, they're looking for the right collection of words in that piece of content. So it should be long enough to show that you have enough to say about whatever it is. Are you including other related keywords that clearly demonstrate that you understand the topic? And then what else do you have on that same domain? So if you're like drblog.com or whatever, they look at other things that you're linking to within that same site. And if there's a lot of related links and information, that kind of raises their flag that this is an expert on this topic or this domain.
And one of the things that you mentioned is getting other people to link to you. Now, that's obviously easier said than done. Now, what are some techniques that physicians can use to get other people to link their content?
So there's some outbound stuff you can do. You can reach out to related blogs and, say, I posted this topic that's kind of, related to what you do, and ask if they would link to it in a certain place. Maybe finding related articles that have dead links in them. So if you're reading an article and you click on one of their references and it goes to an error page, well, there's a perfect opportunity for you to say, you could replace this dead link that's harming your site with my amazing article that I've written on the same topic. A lot of the backlinks come just from having a highly ranked article. If your article does well and you end up on that first page, people will just start referencing your article. So there's sort of a tipping point. Once you get to that first page, usually in the first half of that first page, the backlinks will just come on their own because you are kind of already considered a top reference for people writing on the same topic.
Now, you and I, we are veterans in terms of producing content, and I think we both know it does take a lot of time. And one of the pieces of pushback I get from physicians is that they're too busy. They're seeing patients. I don't have time to create a platform and produce all this content. What are some easy ways that they can create a platform and produce this content that's so important?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of ways to simplify it, like creating a content calendar. So you plan for yourself, okay, this month is breast cancer awareness month. And so I'm going to focus on breast cancer topics, create a, schedule, whether it's going to be one post a week, whatever it might be, and try to just, commit to sitting down and creating some content for, 4 different topics within that, for that month. And the further out you can go, obviously it gives you more time to add images and videos and whatever, all the other things that Google likes to see in articles. But, just having a plan helps a lot, because then you kind of can see in front of you what you want to do and what you want to create. And then you kind of can check things down off the list as you go.
Are there any specific platforms that you recommend for a newer physician?
I'm a WordPress for life person, but it is a little, there's a learning curve to it. But once you get the hang of it, there are so many tools and it has so many options. But actually, more recently, I found even like Wix, Squarespace, all of them have really caught up in terms of SEO tools, content creation tools, and other plugins and kind of apps you can add to make it easier to use. So I think it matters less sort of what platform you're using, but more, that you're actually doing the research ahead of time. And it's great to just write and just write down your thoughts and put it out there, but that probably won't rank. So you need to really start by thinking about what search term you're going after and then create the content around that.
Now, what's the role of social media when it comes to your content creation strategy? A lot of physicians I see, they sometimes write articles on LinkedIn and they write Facebook articles or they even do tweets. Now, that type of content is different from what you're talking about where you have your own website. So can you share where social media specifically fits into a content creation strategy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're taking the time to create a piece of content and probably a really quality piece of content, then it seems a waste to just put it on your blog and forget about it. So that you can reuse that in so many ways. You can take pieces out and use them as captions on all the different social media platforms. You can record a podcast of just basically summarizing, reading that blog post out. You can create a video of it. You can do sort of using slides and images to kind of do a lecture, talk, webinar. So one piece of content can be 10 plus different things. And it's just, the only thing you don't want to do is obviously post that exact word for word article in multiple places. It can harm it looks like sort of copying or plagiarizing yourself, and you don't want to harm your own rankings that way. But all the other options as far as pulling out the content and using different pieces of it, summarizing it in different ways. There's just countless ways you can reuse it. So, and specifically on social media, you can do a short video clip of it. You can do different kinds of image-based posts that are, pulling out key facts. So if there's a key kind of percentage or something you highlight in your article, you can pull that out, create an image of it, say for Instagram, and then take a piece of the blog that highlights that and use that as the caption.
We're talking to Andrea Paul. She's a physician entrepreneur, and she wrote the Kevin MD article, How the Google Algorithm Update Helps Doctor-Written Content Rank Higher. Andrea, I talked to a lot of doctors, and all this sounds pretty intimidating to them. Now, can this be outsourced? A lot of doctors ask me whether they should hire third parties to do this content creation for them. Is that feasible?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And that's part of what I do in my medical writing team. So as long as the content gets reviewed and sort of the finishing touches are put on by that expert, there's nothing wrong with having kind of that first draft written by a really quality medical writer who's going to use the sources you tell them to use and basically pull the information out the way you would. And so absolutely something you can outsource, particularly if you don't have a lot of SEO expertise. It helps to have someone at least outline, okay, here are the keywords that are not too competitive, that are within your niche that you can create content around and at least have that created so that you know exactly kind of what your titles and topics are going to be.
And if physicians want to learn more about creating content, about SEO, about content creation strategy, what kind of resources can you point them to?
There are so many resources online, and especially about keyword research. So if you search keyword research, all these different tools can come up that'll help you. There are free ones, there are paid ones. Within healthcare, it's narrow enough that I don't think you necessarily need to pay to do your keyword research, but type in keywords around your niche into these tools and it'll come up with lists of how many people search for this per month. So it's not worth probably writing a blog on something so narrow that 10 people a month search for it. So you want to go for things that have higher volume. So those kinds of tools are really helpful to kind of pick what keywords you want to start with.
And my final question, what's your take-home message that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience?
Think about what interests you and what your passions are, whether it's medical or not, and do something to pursue those. Whether or not you monetize it or create a business from it, it's something of value you can put out there, and other people will appreciate it. And especially coming from physicians, anything that we put out there, just comes with a level of attention and respect that others, don't get when they put a piece of content out. So I would take advantage of it and put some stuff out there and see what happens.
Andrea, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much.